I see a campsite, and it looks like they've got a fire.
Is it them?
That seems like it. I swear, they must have dragged 4 cases of beer out here.
Track them down, and don't let them see you.
What a job this is. Found my sheets!
So they did break into your tower.
Looks like... I have entered the teen zone.
Oh, really? And where's that?
It's the name of a magazine for girls. It's on the ground here at their camp. Pants are back.
I'm sorry, pants are back?
Well, according to the experts at Teen Zone magazine. It's unclear where they've been. The pants, I mean? Well, I found some dangerous hunks.
What on earth are you...
It's another one of those magazines. I don't get why the hunks have to be so dangerous.
Well, you're clearly not a young woman.
Girls should want nice hunks.
Ugh, boring.
These girls have a full case of beer left here. A full case.
Well, they're impressive little shits, I guess.
That is some dedication. Their tent looks like it's been through the shredder, which would explain that scrap I found.
What could have done that? Like a bear or, I don't know, it sounds crazy, but even a bull elk if it's off its rocker.
Whatever did it, did not hold back.
You've got that camera, right? It might be a good idea to get a few snaps, just in case.
Yeah, good thinking.
Hey, it's Sean.
And Chris, hey Sean.
So we are at the teens camp that has been destroyed, ransacked, rummaged, torn apart.
Yeah.
I know you had some confusion over this, Chris.
I did. I didn't realize I had confusion. So I was the person who did all the gameplay, wiring, logic, hookup stuff for this scene. And the entire time I was doing it, I, for some reason, was under the mistaken impression that it was a bear that destroyed this camp. I, for some reason, had convinced myself that, oh, Goodwin was sort of involved in framing Henry for teen stuff, but also, just separately and coincidentally, a bear just like blasted through here and tore up the tent. And I think I didn't realize until the game was almost done that that was not the case.
And I think that's one of the challenges is of making a game like this and where we're telling a story that doesn't explicitly call out why everything is happening. I think me personally, and I think you agree with me, Chris, because we talk about movies and stories a lot, is I really find it obnoxious when a story goes out of its way to explain everything and handhold you through the plot of the story. Ultimately, you, the player, may have thought it doesn't really matter to you whether it was Goodwin or a bear, because it's doing all the things on an emotional level that it needs to do as a scene, which is stress you out, realize there's danger, and create the fact that the teens feel like it was you. Like, you just know it's not you, so that's
right.
what works here.
Or
as
you may have correctly intuited what happened, and that's also good.
Yeah, Goodwin sets out to cause you distress and frame you for acts of violence such as this.
By inflaming the already existing tension between you and these teens.
Exactly right. Because he just wants you out of here. You entered that cave on your first day, and he knows what's in the bottom of it, and sort of
doesn't want you to.
Yeah, trips a trigger for him. But yeah,
all right.
some of their clothes are all torn up.
That's not good.
You know, maybe I should take one of their sleeping bags as payback.
At this stage, take whatever you want.
Looks like someone left a note.
Intriguing. Maybe you should read it.
Okay, yeah.
Let me know what it says.
Oh, they're gone, for sure.
Well, what's it say?
Threatening to call the police because they think I attacked them.
Oh my god, well, did you?
I didn't do anything to them. But it looks like someone had it out for them.
Then why do they think it's you?
Fuck, I don't know.
Huh.
Hey, I don't.
I believe you. Come on, Henry.
All right. It's weird what happened out here.
Weird stuff happens in the woods. It could be other campers. They could be having a bad mushroom trip. We really don't know. But they're gone. There's no way to call the cops. They're not coming back. And we can get to work. I'd really like to start enjoying a quiet summer.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, Henry?
Yeah.
What do you look like?
Why are you asking?
Because I'm horribly superficial.
Do you know Raleigh Fingers? He pitched for the A's.
No.
Well, I'm the spitting image of him.
Oh, wait, is he the guy with the snidely whiplash thing going on from the 70s? Ooh, my dad loved him.
Yeah, that's him.
That mustache. Now you have my attention. Rawr.
Okay.
Okay, well, that gives me a good start. Now let's see. In my scope, I can only tell you're a white guy wearing shorts.
It's hot. And maybe, by the way, I'm not white. It's not very, PC or whatever they say.
Oh my god, you are the whitest man. Wow. I don't need a spotting scope for that. And if not shorts, then what do you normally like to wear?
Clothes. I don't really think about it.
Oh, come on.
I got a sweatshirt I like. Good jacket I got at the Buckle Barn.
Ooh, I love the Buckle Barn.
Just one of those brown ones, you know?
I do. Now tell me about your face. I'm looking at you across the bar. What do I see?
Well, I have a thin mustache. Real thin mustache. I got a long scar. Goes down across my eye and down my cheek.
Well, I just happen to have a thing for thin mustaches. The thinner and pervier, the better.
Well, then you are in luck.
And a horrible scar. Just perfect. I want to know about your eyes.
Get out of here.
I'm drawing you. I need to know.
You're what?
Is that okay?
Uh,
Don't answer. I'm gonna do it regardless.
fine.
Your eyes, tell me.
They're happy, I think. I mean, I've been told they look happy.
Julia told you that, huh?
Look, I don't know how to describe eyes.
Happy is good. That's good. Okay, got it. Thank you, Henry.
You get what you need?
Absolutely.
Hey, this is Will.
And this is James.
We actually spent a lot of time trying to get the physicality of Firewatch nailed down, and one of the big parts of that was getting objects in your hand, like feeling like you could pick things up and touch them. Turned out to be quite a bit of work, though, nothing that was like reinventing the wheel. It was just a matter of getting, very specific offsets and very specific grips for every single item in the game, nearly.
We had tons of concepts, and we were looking at all sorts of games, and like Far Cry 2 and things for like, where's the best example of grabbing something in the world and it isn't just floating in front of you in sort of Half-Life 2 style. We ended up just basically popping it into your hand over one frame, but making sure that happens at the exact moment that your hand's swiping over it, and it's worked surprisingly well. There were sorts of strange things as well, though, like these giant hands, and then like you'd put a beer can in his hand and suddenly be like, oh right, yeah, it looks like a little miniature minibar, airplane can of Coke. And so there are all kinds of strange little things that cropped up, but actually having the objects in your hand and you could turn them around from any angle, it ended up making it worth doing all these super detailed props. Like Ollie would make the fireworks and do just really funny, cool designs that you could only actually see if you turned them around and looked at them really closely, and I think it paid off basically.
And those are just like a couple of poses that we blend between. Those aren't even very complicated, the lookovers, right?
Yeah, not at all really. There's basically one for books and there's one for everything else, and it's just pretty much 2 points, like fully to the left and fully to the right, with just like a sort of intelligent blend between those two things. So there were so many items in the game we couldn't have authored individual examines for them all. But even that ended up being incredibly hard to tune to get just right. Again, lots of iteration.
It's Ollie again.
Oh, it's Jake.
I realized sort of halfway through development that the player has a kind of quite a sort of nebulous idea of what Henry looks like, and that would be a fun thing to play with by getting the player to describe themselves to Delilah, and then having those answers feed into a drawing that you would then find in Delilah's tower at the end of the game.
I think actually even one step back behind that, you had done a sketch really, really early on of the inside of Delilah's tower that just had a drawing of Henry's face and said Henry and pointed at his tower, and I think that was that was the inspiration.
Yeah,
maybe Delilah had just like, I thought that moment already was really cool, that you'd get to Delilah's tower and see that she'd drawn what she thinks you look like and an arrow pointing at your lookout tower. But in that sketch, it was Henry's face, and we're like, how would... I think you said, this doesn't make any sense because she would not draw an on-model perfect Henry.
Right.
And then Sean took the Delilah draws Henry idea and ran with it and made it the conversation for day 3. Because I think day 3's initial design was, you nail up some boards. Nels and I had to actually build the end result from all the sketches you did of the different faces, shirts, and mustaches.
Originally I was just going to draw individual drawings for each.
Yeah,
person.
It ended up being well over 1,000, maybe thousands and thousands of variants that would have had to be drawn.
So we needed to come up with a smarter
Yeah,
solution.
we had to do something smarter, so we broke it all down into pieces. And that piece of paper that you find in Delilah's tower is actually, I think, being put together from pieces in real time for each player. Like there's no texture that has any one of those things.
And it allowed us to do a somewhat sort of shonky Delilah drawing, which I think is quite funny and unexpected, given that
I love that Delilah is bad at drawing. It's a game.
Especially,
a game full of everyone who can draw because you drew all of it. So it's good that Delilah just draws just
draws bad drawing.
Hi, this is Jane again,
And Chris.
and we are right by the outhouse. And this is also where we decided to put the generator that Henry has to use for power.
To make it as annoying as possible for him when he's using the facilities.
So normally I think the generator is not usually by the outhouse. Usually it's actually under the tower where it would be, more convenient. But we decided to put it there because it's usually more interesting for gameplay if you sort of cluster a few objects of interest together, so it's not just super spread out.
It ended up being a real challenge for audio because most of the time when you're in the tower, you don't want to hear the generator because it would just get annoying and repetitive. But there were certain times, like when you first arrive at the tower and you flip the power switch on and the generator goes on, you want the player to hear the generator, so it needs to be much louder, but then you don't want them to like walk down the stairs and the generator's incredibly loud. So I had to do all this weird cheating basically to cheat the level of the generator audio volume depending on what the game needs it to be.
Yeah.
Also, funny story about the generator. So you found this like classic generator model.
I think it's called a Genero.
Generis,
generator.
I think.
Yeah, it's something like that. Basically, I based it off of this real generator, but to not infringe on anyone's brand name, I just changed it a little bit, and I was like, ha ha ha, funny. I would just call it generic.
And then we actually heard from someone we know who works for the real generator company. He was telling us that when he saw that in the game, it cracked him up because at that actual company, when they're like frustrated at their own product, if something is like not doing its job, they actually call it generic generator. Jane managed to
We nailed it.
like completely nail the insider terminology for this classic generator.
I got that window all patched up. So what should I do now? What's next?
What's next? What do you think is next?
Well, you've been the one giving me tasks for 2 days straight.
What's next is you sit in that room until September 1st and call me at the first sign of smoke.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you let me know when you're mentally prepared for that task, and I'll give it to you.
Okay, I think I am ready to tackle my long-term commitment of keeping this national forest safe from total destruction.
I am glad to hear you've really thought this through.
Of course.
We've issued you a comfy chair to sit in and everything.
You know, it's not really that comfy. I mean, it's wooden and there's no padding. I think I actually got a splinter in my thigh this morning.
Aww. Well, regardless, take a seat. The forest depends on you. Hello, Henry. Having a nice afternoon?
Not too bad. I could get used to it out here.
That's
Hi,
nice.
it's Ben,
And it's James again.
and this is day 9, a story-only day. There's not a lot to do.
Yeah, primarily you just eat a sandwich, but there was at one point gonna be elks. In the sort of framing of the beautiful sunset across the canyon, there was gonna be a very majestic herd of elks, and in fact this is why we made the elk rig, as far as I recall, because now the only other places in the game where you see it are, there's a dead one, which is optional and apparently quite hard to find.
Yeah, most people miss that one.
Yeah, and there's one in the intro, but we made them so they could majestically stalk through the canyon in a herd. And, well, actually, I made an elk walk cycle and nibbling on grass animations, but the problem was, we did all this weird, like, you know, sort of conjecture about, like, how we could implement this, and it's uneven ground, and there's winding passages through the cavern. Like, well, maybe we could do some kind of elk navigation, or we could have them walk along a spline, and then it very quickly was clear that that was very silly.
What's interesting, though, is this is still one of the most taken photographs in Firewatch as it is. Like, people still think it's very pretty.
Yeah, it ended up being less is more.
Yeah.
Everyone, you want to slap elks everywhere, but sometimes you've got to exercise restraint.
Well, game 2, nothing but elks, probably,
Nothing
right?
but elks.
Yeah.
I agree completely, yeah.
Henry? Henry, wake up. Get out of bed and pick up the radio.
Hi, Larissa.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Well, I think you probably know this, but in the original script, your character was not Australian. She was from Chicago. And then you were cast, and I changed the entire script.
Hooray
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
I didn't actually know that she was from Chicago, but I did know that she was originally American. But then when we discussed it, you know, you had that thought of, well, why couldn't she be from anywhere as, you know, the world becomes more multicultural. And therefore, since I am Australian natively anyway, to just, you know, capitalize on that.
It was like a beautiful discovery. It was so serendipitous because it would have been really easy, I feel like, even though you and Sissy sound so different, like you have different tones of voice. I think it would have been easy had you had an American accent for people to a little bit be confused. It's a really startling scene, this scene that we're in here, where the radio chirps and it's his wife and not his boss.
Her, yeah.
Yeah, and we
I've
wanted
actually,
it.
I was going to say, I've watched a bit of gameplay with people in that moment playing the game and their commentary on it, and it's always really fun to have that, what?
Yeah.
Who is
But-
that? Who is that? Is that, you know, it's kind of like having that moment of going so unfamiliar to kind of jut in with this different sound when everyone's expecting it to be Sissy. So
Yeah, and
kind of fun.
I really don't believe he would have gotten that with such a potent like pop had had it not been the accent. And to the point where I think had you had an American accent, I would have asked you to do one. But I wouldn't have had the idea had I not been presented with you as an actor.
To do that.
Yeah, it never even occurred to me for that to be the case until it was like, well, she's the best woman for the job, and oh, she also happens to be Australian. Oh wait, why isn't Julia Australian? Wait, that's so much better across the board. Why wasn't she Australian to begin with? I am bad at my job.
What do you want?
Hey, you big dumb idiot.
You're a big dumb idiot.
Oh, baby, you sound tired.
I am.
Are you having a nice time?
Sure. Are you? Everything good there? Jules?
What? Oh, sorry, Henry. Yeah, I'm good.
Well, that's good.
Well, I'll let you get back to sleep then.
Okay, Jules.
Delilah seems nice.
Sure.
Bye, baby.
Is it too much of a pain in the ass to bring supplies all the way up to our towers?
Well, I get my stuff hand-delivered.
Oh, how's that work?
It's the perks of a decade of service. You're out hiking in 90-degree heat, and I get to do crosswords. Isn't life miserably unfair? Anyway, when you find a supply drop, remember it's not just for you, okay? Other lookouts, biologists, a few people get their food there, and I don't want to have to call in for more. There should be loads of good stuff, though. Beans, prunes, jerky. You know, my sister eats 6 prunes a day. 6. She's, like, really precise about it. She'd be great at this job if she didn't need wheelbarrows full of marijuana to function. So, like, 2 weeks ago, you called me in the middle of the night? You were sleeping, I guess, and all I heard was the name Jules through the mumbles. I just thought it was so sweet. I wanted to wake you up, but then I thought maybe you were having a nice conversation and I'd just be spoiling it. I hope you're doing okay, you know, when it comes to her.
I shouldn't be out here.
Yes, you should.
No, I just ran away from my problems.
No, you didn't. We all fuck up. Look. So, a couple of months before I took this job, I was with this guy, Javier. He's incredible, caring, sexy as hell. He was a driller down in Casper. We dated for almost 5 years. I was working with the Wyoming Outdoor Leadership School, and I was obsessed with it. I wanted to be an instructor so badly. And I was sure I was going to marry Javier as soon as I could be bothered. Walls was also a good excuse to get out of town, drink whiskey in the mountains, cut loose. Then, Javier's brother got killed working in Gillette, and for some reason, I didn't come home. Javier said it was fine. He'd go to the funeral, take care of his mom, stuff like that. It'd be easier solo. When he came back, he left me. I came out here. I lied and told my sister he fucked our neighbor. I've just lied about it for over 10 years. And, for some reason, I wanted you to know. I figured you've told me so much about you, so, you know, there's something about me. We both fucked up.
On day 2, you have a bunch of conversations with Delilah about Julia, or not. You can kind of choose to have those conversations in any which way you see fit, being really open about your life, or lying, or just sort of playing it soft.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that stuff now comes to a head here on day 33. And all of the choices you make, there's something like 30 lines of inquiry, but you can experience 4. I think there's like 33 maybe? You'll experience 4, and whatever is true in Delilah's mind based on that ends up sort of triggering this conversation here, where she wants to know either about Julia, a name she heard on day 15, or wants to tell you about her life and her experiences with a guy named Javier. And a lot of players will play this game and never even know who Javier is. It might be you. You might not know that that character exists because of the way you talk to Delilah on day 2.
You learn more about Delilah if you tell her less about yourself, if I'm not mistaken.
It's actually the polls. So if you tell her absolutely everything, or you tell her absolutely nothing, yeah, you learn a lot about her. The way we made these work on day 2 is kind of interesting. There's a lot of sort of state management going on. We're paying attention to a lot of stuff. One is just how long has it been since you've talked to Delilah? But then we also kind of need to know how long has it been since Delilah has talked to you about some heavy life stuff? Because if she keeps calling you back and being like, so, tell me about your life. So, wife, huh? Girlfriend? It's just going to feel, at best, annoying, and at worst, completely unbelievable. So we're also tracking that. And then we also don't want Delilah calling you, like, all the time. Like, we don't want her calling you when we know there's a good chance you're about to discover something big in the mystery. Like, you're about to climb to the top of the wire on day 2. And we don't want her to be like, so, girlfriend? That would be bad. So what we did is we actually paced the game out by putting these invisible sort of like cube triggers all over the world. And, I mean, I probably placed, I don't know, 30, 40 of them. And as you enter them, the game just sort of asks itself, how long has it been since Delilah's called you? How long has it been she's talked about Delilah? And what is true? What does she know to be true about Julia? And it was a little hard to debug, but we built a pretty like clean looking, at least I tried to build a really clean looking state machine for it. But ultimately, I'm really happy with the way it played out, in that it feels like you are wandering through the world and the conversation unfolds naturally. But furthermore, it was really fun to actually build once I had it working, because I could pace the game by physically moving triggers around the world, where it was like, oh, that was too soon, like spread these apart, delete that one, put that one over here, put that one in this grove. And it was a really sort of satisfying way to tell this part of the story.
From my point of view, it makes it so much more heartbreaking that he leaves her so far away. And I think, because I married an American and I had like a long distance relationship for maybe like 4 months before I came over, and that, you know, it's really stinking far away, you know? So to have
really
that
far.
separation, if it's Chicago, you kind of go, well, get on the plane for a couple of hours and then you can go and visit her. But a 14-hour journey and the emotional heartstring pull, like all of that, you can understand why he's so torn about what to do. And also for him to move to a completely different country and then have to deal with, you know, a sick wife and living in a space that he's unaware of, you know. So even though, of course, living in the forest is about as
Right,
unfamiliar as you can get as well, but, you know,
it's like double
worst of two
distance.
evils.
Yeah, it's like 14 hours
That's
to the
right.
trailhead from Australia, and then another 14 hours from the trailhead to the lookout tower. So it's like more
That's
than
right.
a day's journey away from this person.
That's right. And then
Yeah.
the only contact you have by phone, and, you know, and I think we discussed this in recording, where, you know, when you have a phone conversation with someone, it's great now with Skype and FaceTime and everything because you can actually see their reaction, but there's so many little nuances to a conversation that you just have no idea. Is it because they're half asleep? Is it because they don't give a shit? Is it because... Oh, I'm sorry, can I swear?
Oh, you
Is
can
it-
totally
it's-
swear. There's so many
Okay, cool.
fucks and shits
Great.
in this game, it's not even, you can't stand it.
Fucking shit. Yeah, it's, you know, or is it because he doesn't give a shit about her anymore and she doesn't know and she's confused anyway? And yeah, so that kind of complexity for me made that little scene so much more beautiful and tearing at the heartstrings kind of thing.
Hey, I'm out at a ravine. What's this thing that spans across it?
That is how you get to my sector.
No kidding. Well, let me hike over.
Well, it's locked up and mainly for emergencies. I've never actually used it. Rangers use it from time to time, but that's it.
Help! Oh, God, it's an emergency!
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got eyes on a tornado. I gotta get out of here.
A tornado in the heart of the Rockies?
Yes!
Holy moly, I need to call this in. Tom, Two Forks sees a tornado. He says he needs an evac into my sector. It's a meteorological impossibility. There haven't been tornadoes in the greater Yellowstone region in 100 million years. You're gonna need him to stay and take a detailed personal account, even if it means giving his life. Okay, I'll tell him. Sorry, Hank. No dice.
Man. Found the supplies.
Oh, good. Enjoy.
All right, I got everything I need out of here. Time to chow down.
Just yours, right?
Who do you think I am?
Hey, you didn't take all of the supply drop food, did you?
Hi, this is Ben again.
And I'm Gabe. I did production and office management on Firewatch. This is day 34, and Ben, how long did it take you before you actually saw this day?
Well, since I'm a good person, I never actually made the choice to steal that food and did not see it until after we shipped.
So I definitely did. I played through every day hundreds of times.
You did a better job than me, Gabe. I didn't see it until we were submitting the first patch for PS4 when you chose this path, and I was like, what? There's content here that I've never seen?
It's my job, Ben, to show you content that you've never seen.
All right. Hopefully the next game I get to see the whole thing before it goes out.
As long as there's no moral choices in it, you will.
Yeah, that's fair.
What might be the biggest fire of the year?
Yeah, it's really going.
I'm gonna call it in. They'll send in a hotshot crew for some suppression, but I bet we'll be stuck with her for the rest of the summer. And
In this scene, Henry and Delilah get sort of the closest they get in the game in terms of their intimacy. Sissy, I think you've been drinking.
What?
That's pretty obvious. Rich / Henry, you're you. Delightfully awkward in all of your painful ways. And something, I don't know if I told you guys this, but I had this notion that this was going to get really hot and heavy. Right now, the scene sort of ends very, in a suggestive manner, and I was going to write it to be much more explicit and to go into a place of just, raw... I guess you would call it nakedness, even though it's audio, but just very private and sexual. But I didn't because I was afraid.
I love that you didn't.
Yeah.
I'm glad of that too.
Number one, because awkward walkie-talkie sex is just awkward. But number two, because if the player isn't playing it as a flirty relationship, then it doesn't have to go there. And then this way kind of leaves it up to people's imaginations, which I think is more poignant than spelling it out.
I think also we became so close as a trio over this that having to sit in on that after having to write it was going to be a bridge too far for me. Yeah, I just wanted to say you guys did such a amazing job with the very limited stuff I put on the page in the scene. This is probably my favorite scene in the game.
You set the mood, you lit the candle,
I'll just leave this here. Just light
Put
this
the needle
candle
on the record.
Yeah, little moody blues and walk out.
Poured the bourbon.
Yeah.
No, it was easy to feel all of that. Rich, I feel like I'm yapping the whole thing about, yapping on about it. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, it's so good.
when Delilah asks you, hey, are you looking at the fire? Most players are just either looking at it or about to pull the trigger and say, or hit shift and scroll to, yeah, I'm looking at it. And she goes, great, and starts talking about the fire. But because we are game developers and we know what you're looking at, if you are just staring at Delilah's tower when she says, hey, are you looking at the fire? Henry, without your input, will go, no, I'm looking at you. And Delilah's response to that, the way Sissy Jones played it, is so perfect. It's surprised and like almost like you can feel the one little butterfly in her belly. And I'm just so tickled with it as a moment in the game. I think Jane or someone came up with it and was like, yep, we're doing that. And it was in the game very, very shortly thereafter. So next time you play 64, or if you haven't gotten to that point right now, do that and you will be hopefully as tickled as I was.